Hi there, this is Clarity Aquatics and Landscapes. Thanks for joining us today. This is a recent project we completed. It's a wildlife pond with a beautiful small stream which has a stunning sound. I'm going to take you through all the steps we took in completing this project, including some details on how to build shelves, installing pond liner and building waterfalls. So hopefully you can enjoy and recreate it for yourself. Hi, I'm Mark from Clarity Aquatics and Landscapes. Today we're here to remodel this pond and waterfall system. It's an old wildlife pond and I think it's had many years of good use, but now it's come to the end of its life, so the line is leaking, plants are a little bit out of control and the waterfall doesn't hold any water at all. So, project, first job, clear the old pond out. So we're going to take out all the old pond plants. Some of them are salvaged so we can repot them. Some of them are just going to go on the compost heap because there's a lot of yellow flag iris. I'm going to introduce a few more varieties, make it a bit more diverse. The tricky thing is there's lots of wildlife in here. There's some dragonfly larvae and there's some newts and things, so I'm going to need to catch those and put them safe in our little tub, our temporary pond, so they can go back in the pond once we've finished. What's really good about this project is there's lots of natural stone that the pond's already been constructed with, and the customers already saved lots of really nice bits of rock over there and a few bits of wood which I can use for building the waterfall and the edges later. Right, it's day two. Cracked on really well yesterday despite the rain and the thunderstorms. So I've removed all the old liner, lots of the debris, and I'm ready to get started on the levels. So the first thing that I will do is get a peg, which I've got one here, and I will set the maximum fill level for my pond. So I'll tap that in the ground and that will be the maximum fill level for my pond. After that I can work from that backwards, so I'll know where the maximum fill level will be. So then I'll know that the first shelf where the stone's going to go, it needs to be 200 mil below there. So when the pond is full and the stonework's in place, you won't see the liner. The water will be touching the stones rather than the exposed liner. There's nothing worse than uneven edges and exposed liner all the way around the edge. And also, if the sun is touching the exposed liner, it doesn't matter how good it is, it will degrade over time. Even a rubber liner will start to become brittle and perish after about 10 to 15 years. So you want to really have no exposed pond liner and then just hide it all with stone or aquatic planting. But in this case it's going to have a nice sort of natural looking mixed wall all the way around the side, which all the amphibians and things can climb in and crawl in. So it's not going to be pointed up, it's going to have little gaps in it so the wildlife and invertebrates can create some nice little habitat and nooks and crannies to hide in through the summer and through the winter. And then basically I need to work out the depths. So my marginal plants will be about 300 to 400 mil depth of water because the aquatic baskets I've got are about 250 to 300 mil deep. So that'll leave me 50 to 100 mil of water over the top of them. So that'll give perfect depth for most of the aquatic plants that I've got. Then in the deeper areas, the lilies will sit probably about 500 to 600 mil down. And then I've also got a few mixed sort of deep water marginals, so they'll go in different spots around the pond. Right, so I'm going to crack on with clearing all that out. Once I get to the point of measuring for the liner, I'll show you how I do that. Okay, in my opinion, this is the most important part of building a pond. So if you get the levels right now, then later on you're not having to rejig stuff or mess around with hiding bits of liner and stuff. So first step is work out where you want the maximum fill level to be in your pond. So in this case, I've just knocked a peg into the ground here, and this is going to be maximum fill level for the water. So I know that the liner has to go above this point by at least an inch or so to make sure the water doesn't leak out the pond. So that's the first thing to do. Second step on this pond is going to be this shelving area. So at the moment I've not shaped or changed the levels yet, but this bit is basically going to be where the stonework is going to sit. So the line will come up here, across, then up the back, and then over the top. But so what I will do is then build my natural stone wall directly onto this. As it's not going to be too high, it doesn't have to be too structurally strong, just solid ground is good enough. And it's just this sort of height, so it's not a big retaining wall, so we don't need to worry about putting concrete or anything under there. If you're going to build a big retaining wall on top of it, then that's a different matter. You need to consider putting in some foundations and things. So in this pond, from my water level to the next shelf, I want about 200 mil. So there's a couple of useful tools that any sort of pond builder should have. The first thing is buy the longest level you can buy. So this is a standard one from B&Q. Generally, anything that's half decent will do the job. If it's just a single project you're going to do it for, just buy a cheap one. They're all pretty much accurate enough, as long as it's close enough. We're not talking about millimetre perfect. Yeah, it's all good. So what I do with this one is put this end of the level on here. So that'll be my water level in the pond. And I hold it level just by getting the bubble in between the two lines. And then I can measure off this to my first shelf. So if I hold the level there, then I can see I'm already at 200 mil or 20 centimetres just there. So that is actually perfect. So what I need to do is carry this level all the way around the pond. So there's a few different ways of doing that. So what you could do is put a peg in the middle of the pond, and then you can just run the level off it all the way around, and that'll give you the perfect level. So I know this is 200 mil, and if you just knock a peg into the ground, in this case I'm just going to use the stone just so you get an idea. And if that stone is the same height as that, then you move your level all the way around, so you've got a nice level shelf for your stonework to sit on. And then you can drop it down again, and you can do the same for your marginal shelf. So a level's a really handy bit of kit, simple to use, and it'll last a long time as long as you look after it. What I have is a laser level, because I do it every day and I need speed and efficiency. So what I do is use my level as a stick. My laser level is sat up on the shelf, spinning around, and this is the receiver. So this will receive the laser, which is being thrown out at a perfect level across the whole area. So first thing I'll do, set the laser level up for the maximum water fill. So we just move this up and down until it beeps, and I'll know we're in the right place. There we go. So what I'll do is I'll fix that to the staff in that spot there. So I know wherever this is, and I hold this to the same height as there, that is the water level all the way around. So if I go over here and I lift this up, I keep lifting until it starts beeping. So the bottom of the staff is the same height as the peg over there. So that'll give me the water level all the way around on this side. So that's looking good there. I can double check it over here. So just lift it up until it beeps. So that's where the water level is going to be. So that's looking good. So I think whoever built this originally took a bit of time and care, and saved me a bit of work this time around. But I'm going to work on the next step now. So I need to raise this up 200 mil. Go for it. Right, so I'm going to work on this shelf all the way around now. So what I can do now is just move my staff around, and that'll tell me if I need to add soil to it or lower it down. But again, it's pretty close. I'm only aiming for within about tolerance of 10 mil, 1 centimetre. So here I need to take off a small amount, but not a great deal. It's all good there. Okay, right, as you can see, I've managed to level that top shelf, I've levelled the marginal shelf, and I've cleared out all the crap from the bottom of the pond. So just going to double check things before we carry on to installing the liner. So first thing we need to check, make sure that water level's spot on. So That's our top water level mark. Put our level in, and we can see this is where the stone's going to sit off the wall. This is where the pond plant's going to go, and this is the deeper area. So we've got about 500 mil there, which is ample for a small wildlife pond. These are roughly the size of the pots we're going to use for our aquatic plants. So the proper ones will have lots of holes drilled in them. But you can see, if I hold the level at the water level mark, so our aquatic plants will sit in there, and they'll have about 100 mil of water depth over the top of them, which is ideal for most plants. Some things might go in some slightly shallower areas, but most things will be absolutely perfect there. And if it's a lily, it's going to have about 300 mil of depth there. So we're just going to put sort of a small to medium sized lily in this pond, because we don't want something just to take over within a couple of years. We want something just to slowly mature, cover about a sort of a square metre of the surface. We don't want the whole thing to be absolutely crammed with a thug of a water lily. So with a decent quality underlay and liner, what's left now is not an issue. If you are concerned, the general way to deal with that is put maybe a 2-inch layer of sharp sand over the whole base, and that makes it easy for shaping. Also, it'll protect the liner a little bit more from the stone that's underneath. But in this case, I don't think we need it, so I'm quite happy to continue. So the easiest way to measure for a pond liner is to do it once the hole is dug. There's lots of different types of liners, but generally, rule of thumb, the more expensive they are, the better quality they are. But if you look for EDPM liners, such as the Gordon Low liners, Green Seal, also Aquascape liners are very strong and durable as well. So if it's a pond which you're going to be building on, and it's in an area which is very undulated, or the pond's very undulated, and it's going to have quite a lot of, it needs to be quite resistant and quite strong, then go for a 1 mil liner. If it's going to be, it needs to be folded into like a box shape, or in a very tricky situation where you're going to have lots of corners and things, maybe go for a 0.75 millimeter thick one. But as a rule of thumb, I go for a 1 millimeter Firestone or Aquascape liner. They're very good, very durable, come in lots of different sizes. So the easiest way to measure for the pond liner, obviously a pond liner is generally square. So we need to know the maximum width and the maximum length. So we already know this is going to be our water level here. So we need to know that the line can go up from base all the way up the steps, up here, and always give yourself a bit extra, sort of 300 mil foot is generally a good rule of thumb. So if I put the tape over there, we can pretend there's a little shelf here, and then run the tape down all the contours. Flexible tapes such as this are a lot easier to use, and they won't get clogged up like a metal tape measure. If you haven't got a flexible tape, you can use a long piece of string, take it out, put it on the lawn, and then use your metal. So the most important thing is to follow the contours of the pond. So we go up the steps, up here, and then the water level is roughly here, because I marked it earlier. So we're going water level, then plus 12 inches, 12 inches a foot. So that comes out at 4 meters, or 4.1 meters in old money, 13'6" roughly. So that gives us the maximum width, and then we need to do the maximum length. So we do exactly the same, but this way. Put that there, put little stones on it, keep it in line with the contours. So you kind of need to eyeball the longest part, run it down the centre. Again, follow the contours. Here, and then add your foot on, 30 centimetres. So in that direction we're going to need a liner which is 5.2 metres. So the most important thing is follow the contours of the pond. If it does this distance is shorter than this distance. So you need to make sure the liner goes up and over all the contours of the pond, and then give yourself a bit of extra overlap. When you go to order liner, you'll find they'll come in set sizes, either 1 metre increments or 2 foot increments, 2 foot increments if it's an American product like Firestone. If you're in need of a pond liner, we do sell pond liner on our website, so visit clarity-aquatics.com. Generally it's a next working day delivery on most products within the UK, except for some areas in sort of Scottish Highlands, Northern Ireland, anything that's a little bit further from the norm. Yeah, and if you have any questions about joining liner or special sizes, just please send us an email or WhatsApp, and I can give you a quote. So if you've got a large swim pond or an unusual shape that you're not really sure about, just send us a WhatsApp and I can give you a competitive price, and yeah, much appreciated. Thank you. Okay, so what we have here is the underlay material. So this material is very durable. It's tough to push anything through, so roots and stones have a hard time getting through it. So just to give you a quick demo. So these are very sharp scissors. I can barely push through there. So that's why I'm quite confident about the tiny little stones that are left in the bottom of the pond. Not really going to be an issue if you use decent quality underlay. So this is 250 gram per square metre. Comes in black or white. This one's been supplied by Gordon Lowe. There are other suppliers, but yeah, Gordon Lowe, very good for a trade supplier. So this is this comes in 2 metre wide rolls. If it's a very large project, you can get 4 and 6 metre wide rolls, but they're going to be lakes or very, very big projects. But for your average project, up to say 200 square metres, standard roll, this sort of size, is handleable by one person. If they get wet, they're quite heavy, so you might need 2 persons to move them around. So they are 2 metres wide, but they're folded over. So I'm going to start by basically putting the underlay down across the whole base of the pond. Anywhere the pond liner is going to go, this stuff to go straight in. So all we do, undo it. You can do it lengthways or widthways, it doesn't really matter. So just roughly put it where I know it's going to go. And then we just unroll it. It's just me here today, but it's a lot easier with 2 people. Obviously the dog's not really helping. Okay, so you don't have to be too accurate at this point, you can trim it off later, but I like to get it reasonably close because I don't like doing things twice or wasting material. So I know the pond line is going to come up here, about this sort of height, and then head in. So somewhere around there, we'll be fine. So these are material cutting scissors. They're about £12–13 off Amazon. I find them the best thing for cutting this material. I sharpen these every week, otherwise doing this every day, after a day they're quite blunt. So they're the best thing to use rather than Stanley knife. Stanley knife will just cut into it, tearing it, and you probably end up just cutting your fingers anyway. So this stuff is quite light, so it tends to blow around in the wind. So as you're working, you probably just need to put a few stones around the edges, or what you can do is put a hose pipe over it. When it's wet, it tends to just stay on the ground a little bit easier. That's another good trick. Or you can just put some sand over the top of it, and that will keep it held in place. I've got plenty of stone lying around, so I'm just going to roughly get it in. So I'm not worrying too much at this point, I'm just gently tucking it into place. As long as there's no big folds in it, the liner will just sit on top of it. And again, push it into the contours. You don't want gaps between the lining materials and the ground. When it comes to the next roll, we just want to overlap it about 30 centimetres, about 12 inches, and then there's no chance of it moving around and exposing the ground underneath. Okay, so I've covered every part of this pond with the pond matting. So anywhere the pond liner will can touch needs to be protected by the underlay. So this is the 250 gram, this is the black version. You can get it in black or white. Normally I just use the white for under the liner because it is fractionally cheaper than the black one. But I had a few rolls of this left over from the last project, so might as well use it. Again, if you need any pond liner, you know where to go. Right, time to get the liner in. So this is 6.1 by 4.27, I think it is. So I know it's rolled up the shortest direction, so it's 4 meters that way and then 6 meters that way. So I've just snipped the sellotape there, and then I'm going to put the liner right up there, so I know that's going to be well above the water level, and that gives me a bit extra for overlap. So just gently roll it out. Try and follow the contours as you go, so you don't have to pull it around too much later. If the underlay's blown around a bit, you can just shove it back into place. You don't need to worry too much about that. The weight of the liner will hold it down. And there you go. So you can see we've got quite a lot extra there. It's better to be looking at it than for it, as they say. Okay, so people freak out about me wearing my boots when I'm working with the pond liner, but once you check you've got no stones in there, and it's a good quality liner, you can pretty much walk all over it. But if you're worried, take your shoes off and walk around in your socks. So now we just unfold it. Okay, so I can't really do much more at this point. So what the general plan is to put some water in the bottom of the pond, and that will hold the whole thing down and push the liner into all the nooks and crannies. So I'm gonna get the hose pipe and start. So all I'm doing, I generally work my way around and just get everything as straight and tucked in as possible. And if I do need to put a fold in, which you always have to put the odd one in. So at this point here, I've tried to get all the line nice and square. I've tucked it in on itself and rolled it over. That will just create one fold there. So that should be the only fold really in this area. So we want as few folds as possible. Let's get nice and neat. And what I do is just put a few stones in place just to hold it in the areas that I've kind of completed. So you can see this is all smooth to the ground, no air gaps, and just run my hand up there, push it round, that's all good. So you can generally get the folds on the corners. So I'm going to push all this in. I might get away with not having to put a fold here, because there's going to be a stone wall on this, so that'll hide any lumps and bumps in that area. So, So I've worked that bit around there and I've worked this way. So now we've ended up with a bit of a fold here. So I'm going to basically push that under there. I think they call it a gather. So that's the starting point of the fold there. So we fold it around and try and get it going at right angles to the edge of the pond. That looks nice and neat then. Okay, we're on to winner there. So I'm going to be building this stone wall around here, and I'm quite happy with this area. So you could just carry on filling this pond up and pushing the liner into all the gaps as you go. But I'm going to fill it to about here, which is going to pull the liner down. You can already see the base of the pond is nice and smooth. I'm going to build this wall, fill it. Okay, at this part of the build, I'm just constructing the inner wall of the pond. So I'm using the more square shaped stones, which is a little bit more formal than the rounded ones I'm going to be using for the waterfall. So these basically are dry installed, almost like a dry stone wall with gravel behind just to hold them in place. And I also use a little bit of the waterfall foam just to make sure they're a little bit more secure until it's backfilled. Then I move on to the first stages of the waterfall. So these stones will be under the water in the pond, so they help to hide the liner. Then I move on to using some of the Aquascape waterfall foam to control where the water is going to go, and also just to secure the rock slightly. It's not as strong as concrete, but it's inert and it's not going to affect the water quality once the pond. So I'm not going to get too far today, but I've built some stonework up in this area here to try and make it look a bit more natural. And what I try and do is, where the water comes into the pond, I try and create a little of inlet area. If the pond is just curved shape and the water just drops in, I don't feel that looks that natural. So in nature the water would have worn away this area, so you create a little sort of inlet area, so that looks a bit more natural and as if it's been there for a few hundred years rather than just around the pond is kind of a dry stone wall. The stones look like they've been placed there, and it's meant to look a little bit more formal. It's not square, but it looks a little bit more formal, a bit more made, purpose made. As I go up the waterfall, I want this to look as natural as possible, so I can try and replicate nature, and I don't really want it to look like the stones have been fixed or placed. I want it to be as natural looking as rocks in a man-made pond can look. So this is where I have to sort of think about the rocks, look at the stone that I've got. For instance, with this one, it's quite a nice shape, so it looks like it's got a bit of a curve to it here. It's got a little bit of a dish shape, so I'm going to try and channel the water over this way, and it looks like the water's worn it away over the years, and it should look really nice, and a nice sort of entrance to the pond. It's not going to have a huge torrent of water. It's going to have about a 5,000 litre per hour pump on it, so it's only going to be about 4,000 litres per hour coming down it. But that's plenty enough to get a bit of noise and a bit of movement coming down this slope. So I've got quite a good gradient to work with. There must be. Okay, so I'm just installing a few more stones at the bottom half of the waterfall. Next we're going to move on to the actual waterfall itself. So we've installed the protective fleece matting, so that's the black stuff you can see there. And I'm also going to install the Aquascape Biofalls at the top there. So this is the smallest unit they do, so it's very important to get this level at the stage and install it now rather than after. It's nice to have it fixed in place, and this is the inlet hose you can see now. Next I install the pond liner all the way down from the biofalls all the way down to the pond itself. The next stage is to fix the pond liner to the biofalls, making sure it's a good seal. So the next stage is just to, the next thing to do is install the biofalls and fix the pond liner to it. As you can see, it was a miserable day. We set up the gazebo and trying to keep everything dry. But it did work in the end. So all I'm doing is applying lots of black silicone to the biofalls. So all I'm doing is applying lots of black silicone to the biofalls and also to the spout, which fits between. So all I'm doing is applying lots of silicone to the back of the pond liner, to the spout, and to the actual biofalls itself. Then screwing it all in place. Now I can get cracking with the waterfall. So what I've done is installed a pond liner, which is the waterproof membrane, and then I've put some of the offcuts over the top of that. So I'm actually building on the offcuts, so that protects the main pond liner. As you can see, I start off with the frame rocks, and then make my way all the way up the waterfall. I like to build in the steps first, and then build around it. At this point, I use a little bit of gravel in the gaps just to bed all the rocks in, stops them from moving. Also some of the Aquascape waterfall foam, that secures the rocks and makes the water go in the direction I want it to. Right, today was day 3. It was a bit wet and windy to do much filming, but basically we've really cracked on with the waterfall. So first 2 days we removed all the old liner, got rid of all the gunge and the crap, built a new wall all around the edge of it. Today basically we've built the waterfall itself and installed the Biofalls filter. So we started off with basically shaping the waterfall itself, removed all this little stones and bits and pieces. We've installed some of the 250 gram underlay, which protects the liner which sits on top. Installed the liner which sits over the top of the whole thing. And then what I did with the offcuts of liner, I put those in the little divot, in the little diffy bits in the pool. So when I put the stones on it, it protects the main waterproof barrier from the big heavy stones. So we started at the bottom, which I always do, and I build in sort of my framing stones first. And then I have a look at all the rockwork and stone that we've got and try and find ones which have nice shapes to them, which look like there may have been water running over them in the past, or where they've just sort of got little dips in them. So when I put them into the waterfall itself, the water naturally follows those paths and makes it nice and interesting. The construction method itself is we've got all the stones in place, and we use the Lance Aquascape waterfall foam to guide the water in the directions we want. So we don't want to see big lumps of waterfall foam, we just use that underneath the stones, make sure the water travels in the direction we want. And then we can also hide that with some of the gravel and stuff. So it's a really good, quick way of building, and it's pretty solid too. The other benefit is it's completely inert. So because this is a wildlife pond, and there's lots of wildlife and plants to go straight back in this pond, we can drain this down, fill it up with plants, and away you go. If we used concrete and cement to build all this stone waterfall, we'd probably have to leave it months for the system to flush out and all that lime to be diluted down. But in this way, the wildlife will be completely safe to go straight in that pond after we've cleaned it out, and just once will be fine. Anyway, back tomorrow, tidy up and finish off. So we're in the last stages now. You can still see it's blowing a gale, but it's still sunny and dry. So we're putting in the marginal plants now. So the lily in the middle of the pond we rescued from the original pond. We've put in water soldiers, frog bit, and a good mix of other marginal plants. So we're just prepping the pond, ready to put our aquatic plants in there. So what we generally use in this little size pond is our 10-litre mixed marginal pots, which we pot up in different types of plants depending on the style of pond we want and the amount of and the size of the plants as well. What we do is we use standard 10-litre pots, but put lots of holes in them, and then all the nutrients in the water can circulate through the pots, and the plants can absorb all the nutrients out the water, and they stay a lot healthier. You can also use fin foil mesh baskets, they also work very well. So as you can see, we're just popping all the plants in, and because we pre-measured the shelves, when the pond is full, these plants will be at the perfect water depth. So they'll have a couple of inches of water just over the top of the gravel, which is ideal to protect them from the ice and the frost and the cold in the winter. But in the summer, they can thrive, they can grow as fast as they want to and be quite happy. So another pond job complete. This one took about 5 days. So we've got a beautiful natural water feature. So we've got a lovely stream running down the side of the garden here. Good change in height, probably about 1.5 meters difference. Got the biofalls at the top. Use lots of these natural round glacial boulders and a little bit of wood just to create a little bit of detail in there. In the pond itself, we've got lots of marginal plantin, got some nice lilies, lots of blue iris, lots of marsh marigold, some mint, a bit of frog bit in there, and some water soldiers. So this wildlife pond should populate really quickly. It's only been running a couple of days and it's already crystal clear. So I'm just going to show you some of the best bits. So we built this pond using a lot of the natural stone that was already here. So we dismantled the old pond, saved a lot of the stone, and recycled most of the stone that we already had. So it's really lucky in that case. We didn't have to bring in anything except for a few pebbles. We've raised up the back wall so the ground's a bit flatter behind it, so it almost terraces that area. So the customer's going to plant that area up in the near future. A couple little details on there. So we've created this area here. So this is basically just a wildlife escape route. Things like hedgehogs might fall in, and with the stones around the edges, they probably won't be able to get out. But I've put these little stones in here, so anything that drops in there can climb out, and also animals can come along and then lean in and just have a drink whenever they want. So the badgers and the foxes can all enjoy a nice bit of fresh water. The lily was already here in the original pond, so we've rescued that and put that back in. So all the other planting is all new. So we've used our 10-litre pots and drilled lots of holes in them and potted up lots of different assorted marginal planting. I've got a list on the screen just so you can see what we've used. I've been Mark from Clarity Aquatics and Landscapes. We really appreciate every view, so please hit the like button and subscribe.